Hi y'all, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Philly cheesesteak pizza. For this we have some pre-made pizza dough. You can use whatever you like. I have a local store here that makes a good pre-made pizza dough. We have some butter, we have some onion, we have some garlic, we have some yeast, we have some Swiss cheese, and some provolone cheese. I still have to shred mine. I couldn't find any shredded in the store. I also have a couple ribeye steaks back there. Now if you want, you can also add some bell pepper and mushrooms to this, but we are working with some dietary restrictions today, so I won't have any bell peppers or mushrooms in mine, but typically that would be on a Philly cheesesteak and a Philly cheesesteak pizza, but not ours today. So let's get started. We gotta start with that crust. Alright y'all, so to start with this, we have a cup of warm water. And we're going to go ahead and just drop in 2 1/4 teaspoons of the active dry yeast, or that is 1 package of yeast. Now we just want to get this stirred up. Once we have that yeast dissolved, we're going to go ahead and let this sit for a few minutes off to the side. Alright y'all, so it's been a few minutes. Now we have 3 1/2 cups of our pre-made pizza crust here. Like I said, we're using one from a local store here. They make a really good one, so that's what I use. You can use your favorite. If you even have a pre-made crust altogether that you want to use, go ahead and do that. But we're going to dump our yeast water into this now. And with our hands, we're just going to go ahead and get this mixed in. Now that we got our crust mixed together, we're going to go ahead and cover this. And we're going to sit this in a warm place for about an hour to let it rise. And we can prepare some of our other stuff while we do that. So while our crust is rising, we're going to go ahead. And we're not going to be using a red sauce for our pizza. We're going to be making garlic butter for this. So we've put in a stick of butter in our food processor here. We're going to go ahead and drop in 4 to 5 cloves of garlic, just depending on the size of them. Let's go ahead and close this up. Alright y'all, so we have created a garlic butter paste here. I'm just going to transfer this over to a small dish. Now we have our garlic butter here. We're just going to go ahead and sit this to the side until we are ready for it. Now I have 2 small onions. If you have 1 large onion, you can go ahead and just use 1. Now we have our onion diced up in a bowl. We're going to go ahead and set that to the side until we need it. Now for our 2 ribeye steaks, we're just going to hit them with a little bit of salt. And a little bit of pepper on both sides. Now I have a skillet on the oven heating up on max. So let's go over there and get these steaks on. Alright y'all, so we got a little bit of oil in our skillet, just enough to coat it. And it's starting to smoke, which means it's preheated. We're going to drop our steaks on. Hopefully you hear the sizzle. Now really all we're trying to do here is sear them and cook them to about rare. Now we're going to get a good sear on all sides. Cook it to about rare because it'll cook more in the oven. Once we got them seared, go ahead, turn that heat down to medium-high. And we're just going to continue to cook them, flip them every couple minutes. Alright, once we got them to about medium rare, we're just going to move them over to a cutting board. And we're going to let them sit, you know, for 10, 15, 20 minutes. So let's move on to our next step. We have our 12-inch skillet here. We've kind of pre-greased it just a little bit. Now this is completely optional and up to you. We're going to go ahead. We have some cornmeal here. And we're just going to coat the bottom of this thing with some cornmeal. You don't have to do this. This is completely optional. It just adds like a little extra flavor, and it also helps the crust not stick to the bottom of the cooking surface. Now we have our pizza crust here. We're just going to drop that down. We're just going to push it out. Now feel more than welcome to do this on a pizza sheet. With a rolling pan, or if you're talented enough to hand toss a pizza, go ahead and do that. If you want, I do mine in a cast iron skillet. I just prefer, y'all know me, if I can cook it in cast iron, I'm going to. Now when I cook with cast iron pizzas, I kind of give them a little bit of a depth to them. But now we have a pretty even out surface. I've given a little bit of depth to my pizza here, so the crust goes up a bit on the edge. We're going to take our garlic buttery spread that we made earlier. We're going to put it all on there. And we're going to proceed to spread this all over our crust. We want even coating all the way around. Alright, so we have our pizza crust spread out. We have our garlic buttery sauce on our crust. Now y'all seen earlier that my cheese wasn't shredded. I went ahead and did that off camera because you're more likely gonna have shredded cheese. So we got 3/4 of a cup of our provolone cheese. 3/4 to a cup, however much you want to use. Kind of just make a thin layer spreading of that. Now we're going to take 3/4 of a cup to a cup of our Swiss. And we're just going to evenly spread that on there. Now we're going to take our onion and do as much onion as you want or don't want. And if you want, this is where you would add bell peppers and mushrooms if you're going to be using those in this. Now we're going to set this to the side real quick so we can go take a look at those steaks. So we got our ribeyes here. I've kind of went and cut a fat section out of this. And we're just going to thinly slice our ribeye steak. Alright y'all, so I brought our pizza back. I have our steak cut up. So we're just gonna go ahead, just throw around our slices of steak here. And I do have it cooked rare because they will be in the oven and cook a little more. Once you have this thing 100% loaded down with meat, sprinkle on a little more provolone and a little more Swiss. Now we're going to throw this in the oven at 425 for about 25 to 30 minutes until that crust is golden brown. At that point, I'll bring you back. Alright y'all, it took 25 minutes Our crust is perfectly golden brown. It is still sizzling in that. But you know what? It's cooked perfectly. All we got left to do is go ahead and serve this up to our friends and family, whoever you decide to feed this to. But if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below, especially since I noticed that only 25% of y'all are subscribed. But anyways, until next time, keep on cooking on.